First things first, we're going to do a review of the first 5. So for the first one, actually for all of them, it says use long division to rewrite the rational numbers as terminating decimals. So for this one, the first thing I'm going to write down is 3. And that's just because 3 is a whole number, and so this is not going to change whenever it's put into a decimal. So it's going to be 3 point something. Then, to figure out what 7/8 is, I'm going to put 7 inside and 8 on the outside. 8 does not go into 7, so I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. 8 goes into 70 a total of 8 times, 64. That leaves us with 6. Bring down a 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times, 56. That leaves us with a 4 and then 0. And 8 goes into 45 times. So our decimal that goes after the 3 is 3.875. All right, for this one right here, there is no whole number, and so we're just going to divide 19 by 20 to figure out what our decimal is going to be. So 20 does not go into 19, so we'll add a decimal and a 0. 20 goes into 19 9 times, and then when we multiply that, we'll get 180, which leaves us with 10. So we'll add on another 0. And 20 goes into 105 times. So our answer is 0.95. All right, then we've got 27 divided by 6. So we'll divide those two. Once again, we don't have a whole number to put behind a decimal. So 6 goes into 27 4 times. Leaves us with 24. And then that leaves us with the remainder of 3. Now, because I have a remainder, I'm going to add a decimal and a 0 and carry down that 0. And 6 goes into 30 a total of 5 times. So that leaves us with 4.5. And then we have 4 and 5/8. So my whole number is 4. So I'm going to write 4 point something. And to figure out what goes after that 4, I'm going to do 5 divided by 8. 8 does not go into 5, so we'll add a decimal and a 0. 8 goes into 56 times. 48. That leaves us with 2. We'll add on another decimal, or we'll add on another 0. Carry that 0 down. 8 goes into 22 times. 2 times 8 is 16. That leaves us with 4. Put in another 0. Carry it down. And 8 goes into 45 times. So our answer is 4.625. Then we have 21 divided by 25. Once again, not a whole number, so we'll just divide into this. 25 does not go into 21, so we'll add a decimal and a 0. 25 goes into 210 8 times, so 0.8. 8 times 25 is 200. That leaves us with 10. Add on another 0. 25 goes into 100 4 times, and 25 times 4 is 100, so we have nothing remaining. Our answer is 0.84. Okay, when you walked in, you should have grabbed those 2 papers that were sitting up at the front. If you did not, go grab them now. You'll need both of them. All right, so first thing I want to go over is I just want to review all of the properties that we've learned so far. So the first one that we've learned is multiplying exponents. So when we multiply exponential expressions, we blank their exponents. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to go through and I want you to fill in what that blank should be when the question pops up in just a second. Okay, the second thing is when we divide exponential expressions, we blank their exponents. And I want you guys to once again go through and fill in what that blank should be. And 3, when there is a power to a power, we blank the exponents. And I want you to go in and fill in what that should be. Okay, So when we multiply exponential expressions, we add their exponents. So for instance, when we have x to the 8th times x to the 5th, we add these two exponents together and we get x to the 13th. When dividing exponential expressions, we subtract their exponents. So for instance, when we have x to the 13th, and we're dividing it by x to the 5th, 13 minus 5 is 8, so we'll have x to the 8th. And then when there's a power to a power, we multiply the exponents. So we'll have, for instance, we have x to the 8th to the 5th power, and we multiply 8 times 5, and we get x to the 40th. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on this first question. So when we are looking at this, the first thing we're going to see is that in the numerator, we have 4 to the 9th times 4 to the 5th. And what we do when we multiply is we add together our two exponents because these have the same base and they're being multiplied. So this is going to be 4 to the 14th. Then the denominator is going to stay the same for now. Now I'm looking at two items with the same base that are being divided, and when we divide two things with the same base, we subtract the exponent. So we'll get 4 to the 14th minus 4, and that equals 4 to the 10th. All right, I want you to go through and I want you to try question number 2 on your own and type in what you got for the answer. Okay, so we have 8 to the 10th times 8 to the 7th. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add those exponents together. So we should get 8 to the 17th divided by 8 to the 12th. And when we are dividing two things that have the same base, we subtract their exponents. So we should ultimately get 8 to the 5th. All right, now I want you to go to your other worksheet, and we'll go through that together. So this is the same thing that we learned yesterday, and we'll do a quick little review of it, and then I'll have you guys jump in with doing practice problems on your own. So x to the 2nd to the 3rd power is going to be x to the 2 times 3, or x to the 6th, because this is the power to a power rule, where when you have a power to another power, we multiply their exponents. All right, answer what you think question number 2's answer should be. All right, we'll have a to the 7th times 5, which is a to the 35th. Answer what you think the answer to number 3 is. All right, so we'll have y to the 13 times 4, and that equals y to the 52nd. Okay, answer what you think number 4 will be. All right, you have w to the negative 21st times negative 15. A negative times a negative is a positive, and 21 times 15 is 315. So we'll have w to the 315. All right, for this one right here, once again, just multiplying those exponents. So go through and answer what you think that should be. All right, if you said 5 to the 6th, you would be correct because you have 2 times 3. Answer what you think the answer to this one would be, and also answer whether it would be positive or negative. Okay, so you have negative y to the 20th. Now, this one actually is going to be negative, and the reason why is because if it was going to be positive, it would have to be written like this. But because this y is not within parentheses, this is actually negative 1 times y to the 20th. And when that happens, your answer will always be negative. All right, answer what you think this one should be. Okay, you should have had 4 squared times y to the 6th, because this 2 goes to the understood exponent of 1 right here, and it also goes to this 3 right here. Now 4 squared is 16, so fully simplified, this would be 16y to the 6th. All right, we'll skip down and we will do this question right here, number 17, and let's walk through it together. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to distribute this 2 to here and here. And we're also going to distribute this 3 to here, here, and here. So that's step 1. So we'll have 4 squared times h to the 6th, because 3 times 2 is 6. And then we'll multiply that again, and we'll have negative 2 to the 3rd times g to the 9th, because 3 times 3 is 9, and h to the 3rd. These values all have an understood exponent of 1, and that's why they all are being squared now, or cubed. So 4 squared is 16. We have h to the 6th. Negative 2 to the 3rd is going to be negative 8. G to the 9th, h to the 3rd. I'm going to combine like terms now, so I'll do 16 and negative 8. And I'll do h to the 6th and h to the 3rd. So 16 times negative 8 is going to be negative 128. Now we have 2 things that are being multiplied, and when they are being multiplied with the same base, we add their exponent. So that's going to be h to the 9th. And then we still have the g to the 9th. So this is our final answer. Let's do another one together. So this exponent of 2 gets multiplied to every single exponent inside of this equation. And this 14 has an understood exponent of 1. And this 7 right here distributes to every exponent inside of this expression right here. So this 2 will multiply to this exponent, and this exponent. And this 7 will multiply to this exponent and this exponent. So what's going to happen is we'll get 14 squared, a to the 8th, b to the 12th. Then we'll have a to the 42nd and c to the 21st. Now what we're going to do is we are going to multiply like terms. So 14 squared is going to be 196. Then this a to the 8th right here is going to multiply with a to the 42nd. Now when we multiply 2 things that have like bases, we add their exponents. So this will end up being a to the 50th. Then we'll just have that b to the 12th carry down and the c to the 21st carry down. All right, we can now try, let's see. I want you guys to try number 16 on your own and type in what you get for the answer. Okay, so first things first, you are going to distribute this 2 to here and here. And then this doesn't have an exponent to be distributed, so we'll keep this one the same. So this will be, oopsies. This will be 3 squared y to the 12th. Then we'll have times x to the 5th y squared times z. So we'll square this 3, which will make that 9. And then we'll have to combine our like terms. So we'll have y to the 12th and y squared, and then x to the 5th and z have nothing in common. When we multiply 2 things with like bases, we add their exponents. So this will be y to the 14th, x to the 5th, z. All right, we're now going to do this question right here, and I'm going to erase number 17 so that we can see it a little bit better. So this 3 is going to distribute to every single value that is inside of this division. So it'll go here, it'll go here, it'll go there, and it'll go there. So we will have -4 to the third, s to the 18th, because we're multiplying 6 times 3, t to the 9th, because we're multiplying 3 times 3, and r to the 15th. -4 to the third is going to be -64. S to the 18th, t to the 9th, r to the 15th. So we multiplied this 3 times every exponent, and this -4 has an understood exponent of 1. Now, there are no like terms here, so we're just going to leave it at this, as this. Okay, when we go to number 20, we'll do the same thing. This -2 has an understood exponent of 1, and then I'll distribute this 2 to everything inside. So this will be -2 squared, d to the 22nd, because 11 times 2, f to the 12th, because 6 times 2, and c to the 36th. We'll simplify this by squaring -2. A negative times a negative is a positive, so this will be 4, d to the 22nd, f to the 12th, c to the 36th. And that's the final answer. I want you guys to flip to the back, and I want you to try number 8. Okay, I'm going to rewrite number 8 because it didn't print off super well on mine. So this is going to be 4d cubed divided by c to the 5th cubed. So we will distribute this 3 to here, to here, and to here. So we'll have 4 to the 3rd, d to the 9th, c to the 15th. So that will give us 64, d to the 9th, c to the 15th. And that's it. That's a 9 right there. All right, last two, number 9. This is going to be rewritten as -24 t to the 6th over 8t cubed, all to the 5th power. So when we do this, we'll do the same thing that we do every time. We'll have an understood exponent of 1 on -24 and on 8, and we will distribute this 5 to this exponent, this exponent, this exponent, and this exponent. So we'll end up with -24 to the 5th, t to the 30th, 8 to the 5th, and t to the 15th. Then we'll have -24 to the 5th. But what I notice here is that my t's have similar bases. And when they have like bases and they are being divided, we subtract their exponents. So that will give us t to the 15th divided by 8 to the 5th. One other way that you could have done this to simplify it further, because this is actually not fully simplified, is what you could have done is you could have divided this before we ever even distributed this power, which is what I recommend. So -24 divided by 8 is -3. T to the 6th divided by t to the 3rd is t to the 3rd, because you're subtracting those exponents. And this is all raised to a power of 5. This 5 will distribute to here and to here. So you'll have -3 to the 5th, t to the 15th. And then finally, for number 10, we'll do the same thing. We'll first go through and we'll subtract all of our exponents because they're being divided. So we'll end up with d to the 5th, because 11 minus 6 is 5, and f to the 10th. And sorry, this is all to the 3rd, and this is all to the 3rd. So Then we'll distribute this 3 to this 5 and to this 10. So we'll end up with D to the 15th, F to the 30th. Okay, you should now fully be prepared to go and do your exit ticket. One other thing, I'm so sorry, I know I just said you were ready to go do your exit ticket, is that the last question on number 5 says, what is the area of a square with a side length of 8x to the third? Now, if you remember that the area of a square is side squared, because area is length times width, but all of our sides are the same. So we could technically say L squared, or you could say side squared. Now, if one side is 8x to the third, then we could just square that. So our area would end up being 8 squared x to the 6th, or 64 x to the 6th. And that's the final answer for that one. Okay, now you are ready to go do your exit ticket. Sorry about that.